What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So just like the video says, anti-meta, we're playing Amethyst. Can we take down some of the best decks of the format? We have count on five gameplay footage replays to go over for you guys. The first one is against Amethyst Ruby. Tags down below if you want to skip around in the video. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. So our opening hand is... we have Friends, Mim, Stitch, Pascal, Doc, and Mim. The idea behind this deck is being super aggressive and winning the games quickly. So we have some one plays, we get our Bodyguard. We can go ahead, get rid of the Friends. That, for me, is a card that I ink often. We got the double Pascal, which is going to give both of them evasive, which is just kind of a fun way to keep racking up our lore. We also have another one play in our Maleficent. Arthur can obviously combo off with your goats and your bounce targets insanely well. We do have our Bodyguard on top of it, and being able to go like Pascal and have a Bodyguard. We got our Stitch in case we hit our other one. So let's see what our opponent does, and knowing what he's playing, there's a chance his first couple turns he can't do a whole lot. So Ruby Amethyst, definitely the best deck of the format according to like everything. And he inks a Tooth, gets Olaf, and we draw into our one play Stitch. That is just so good. Because of that, we're going to get rid of Pascal, play our 2/1s, quest with Pascal, who now has evasive, and our opponent cannot do anything about it unless they have evasive or effect damage. So I feel like I'm in a pretty decent spot. I'm pretty happy with this overall. I finally started climbing the ranked ladder, so I know I'm near, like, lower on the ladder. I get it. I just don't have the time to sit here and get to Grandmaster status, but maybe one day. Lady Tremaine comes in, takes away our lore point. That's not really an issue. The bigger issue there is shifting to the big Tremaine, because we drew into Stitch already. That Doc is going to be kind of useless. Now we can go ahead and put our Bodyguard out and get our lore going, because again, he's going to be able to shift into that bigger Tremaine, and we're going to start losing our cards that way. Draws off of Maleficent, and what else are we going to do? 4-1 early going. Again, this deck really wants to just go fast, win early. Against this deck, like, I think I'm like 6-0 overall against this deck, and you just win before be prepared. It's Lady Tremaine, Maui, and Dragonfire that are more troublesome, and he hasn't dealt with our Bodyguard at all, so we've really put the pressure on him with Pinocchio now, because that's 1, 3, so 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 8 lore sitting out there. We got our shift up. We have our Arthur. Things are looking pretty good for us overall so far. Opponent's kind of looking through what we can't do, see if he can win. If it makes sense for him to keep going, he's going to try and take out our Bodyguard so he can go ahead and try to take down our other cards. LeFou comes in, and then Lady Tremaine again, hitting our lore count, which isn't that bad. We lose our Maleficent, we lose our Stitch, which actually hurts a lot. I thought of that afterwards. We do go and get our Friends. I want to build that inkwell up, so we do play our Arthur, and then we can go ahead and just quest and get them home. I'm expecting to lose Pinocchio here, but I wanted to just cash in and get the lore quick. I got another 3 lore combo with the Arthur coming. Goat comes in for him, so he hits 4 off of that. So the game's starting to slow down here, because we do have a big lead, but we're also starting to run low on board presence and hand. So we have to be careful with it. We go into another Arthur, which actually works out here because I can't really do anything else. So we can just Arthur play it, and then Arthur bounce it for the 3 lore, and then Pascal still keeps his evasive as well. I mean, we could have just bounced Pascal and then put Pascal back, like quest with Pascal, quest with Arthur, re-summon Pascal, and been in virtually the same boat without him knowing we had that Arthur in hand, so we would have kept 1 card in hand secret. He goes and uses his friend to be able to draw 2. This actually worked out really well. I screen recorded a bunch of these replays, and then I put them all together already, and I sped it up like twice as fast. It's at 200%. There's the shift of the Tremaine that we were worried about. We're going to go and lose our Pascal just because the 3 willpower of Arthur is actually going to kind of matter here. He can take it out like with Goat or his Tremaine, but it forces his bigger cards to come after me instead of going after my questing themselves. But yeah, we sped it up 200%, which actually worked out really nice because I don't think this is too hard to keep on top of. Just that initial mulligan part in the beginning was a little quick, I guess. He's getting a lot here now, but we do have Merlin still, and if he doesn't get rid of that, that's 3. So like in this stage, if we draw into a Goat, we're in a really good spot. Otherwise, we have to start dealing damage. That's not the worst one to draw into. It's actually probably one of the better ones, just because we do at least get the draw. Go up to 19. Then debating between the two. They both kind of have that multiple willpower. Both get me... I mean, that got me another draw. I don't need the 2 lures from Doc, and the 3 willpower is not really going to matter too much in this match, because like Dragonfire, Be Prepared, which isn't going to come up, Maui, like all the cards I'd worry about are going to do 2 or 3 anyway, so it's not going to really change a whole lot there. We just have to not lose this turn now. 19 to 11, and I was going through every scenario I could, and I don't think there's anything he could do. I was like, okay, so the Goat gets his Goat plays, and then can summon the Goat, get it again, but he still only has enough to quest for 5 more. So I was like, even if I lost the Arthur, it wouldn't matter. We go ahead and we get that win. The next one, we see Amber Steel we are going up against now. Opening hand is... I'm going to try and stop it when I pick my clicks. Okay, so we had Friends, Doc, Pascal, Stitch, Simba, and double Maleficence. I like having like Bodyguard with my 3-1 plays because this just lets you get so aggressive so fast. Like you can come out with your Pascal or your Maleficent, Pascal, Stitch, Bodyguard turn 3 or Bodyguard turn 2, then Pascal, Stitch, even Pascal first, then Bodyguard. Like there's just so much you can do right here with these. So we get rid of the other Maleficent, and then these would just get inked, but I want a higher chance of getting to my big Stitch, and I have so many cards in the deck that are inkable anyway, so I'm not too worried about losing ink. And we get to the wrong big Stitch, another little Stitch, and Simba, so we do have plenty of inkable cards, and our opponent gets to go first. So we see the I guess we already knew what deck we were going against, but he goes and inks a little Tinkerbell. Then he passes turn to us. We draw into our 2 Pinocchio, so we can get really aggressive now. And that made my decision to go for the Maleficent, because I am just going to go really hard on him here. We'll go Bodyguard, then come in with the Pinocchio. Just try to start like forcing his hand. Unfortunately, the Fire of the Cannons comes down. We draw into another Pascal, which is another ink card, so that's not bad. We can get rid of one of those, and then we're going to put the Pinocchio out there because we want to keep the pressure on our opponent, like do something or fall behind. And again, I play this slightly different because of that Fire of the Cannon. He improvises to gain a draw, knowing that it's not going to matter, giving me that extra attack power, and then he gets his Inkwell up to 3 and has another Fire of the Cannon. So we lost 2 Fire of the Cannons. That is actually unfortunate. I don't like it, but we know they're out now and he doesn't have them. We draw into Goat. We're going to get rid of the big Stitch. I only play 2 of those. It's like a late game card or ink if you see it earlier. Now we can play multiple cards. We throw the Stitch and the Pascal down. Could have threw Simba down, but at the same time they're not going to do anything this turn anyway, and next turn I can throw Simba down and it still protects them in the same way because you just play it exerted. Then debating here, I was like, almost pitch the Doc, but I might actually want it. So we go for Doc now and quest with Pascal. Stitch probably wasn't the smartest thing, but I assumed his Bucky wouldn't come after it, and even if it did, it doesn't wipe it out. So he's going to have to use like Bucky or disruption cards, kind of like the Smash. But he goes after the Doc instead, which is probably smart. Stitch with the shift up is a scary card to wonder about. And then, like I said, there we go Simba and play it that way. I don't want him to get the Little John Bucky combo start rolling where I'm discarding cards and he's drawing cards for them. So that's why we take that out. He comes with the Hypnotize, so it worked out that we kept the Pascal in our hand. And waiting. Big Tink gets the ink. And we draw into our Stitch then. That just comes in really nice. We shift into it. Remember, keeping our 1 damage because it shifts and it keeps it all. But we get 3, 4, and 5 in a decent spot. We have our goat here too as like a easy lore gain later. We see Sad Boy Beast get inked. Flynn Rider comes out. I'm not going to attack it anyway, so I'm not worried. As long as he doesn't like John Silver me and do something. But then he goes and shifts it up into the other Flynn Rider, which I'm okay with because that's 2 cards out of his hand. He's only got 2 cards left. And I'm getting far ahead, so I'm not too worried about it at this point. We go and we quest with Stitch, quest with Pascal, quest with Simba, Maleficent, and we get our draw, which is Little Maleficent, meaning we can shift it with Stitch, and then we, or exert it, sorry, not shift, exert it, and we get our draw. Rockstar Stitch is just so nice with the draw power. It pairs up with the purple cards, which already draw an insane amount. He comes in with the Grab Your Swords. Every deck's got something to worry about. Grab Your Swords is this deck's. We do survive it though. We still got Simba. We still got Stitch. We're still in the game. We're at 13. We got Goat in hand. We got another Simba in hand. We got Maleficent now. So there we go, Goat. And once Goat leaves the field, that'll be 19. So we are actually sitting pretty well. And yeah, he's not going to be able to really come back from this. I don't see any way that he can. Because even getting rid of the goat, I still get that lore, and now he has to deal with my board. Otherwise, it's going to be game over. He gets rid of the 1. My turn, Stitch quest, and we win. Now our next one, we have Sapphire Steel. Next up on the menu. This might not be one of the best decks, but it is actually a pretty decent control deck. Sapphire being able to ramp, fill your inkwell pretty good. Oops, we went a little fast there. So we have double Mufasa. I haven't seen this card in a ton of lists, but this card helps play through Be Prepared so good. And I know the deck is meant to not get to that point, but you know, you can't assume everything. So we do play it because when they hit you with Be Prepared then, and unless they have a bunch in hand or try to fill their field, we're playing 57 character cards, so the odds that you hit one off of this are so good, and by the time you get Be Prepared, you're probably really close to winning out, and thus the fact that it summons the card right away, and then you can go ahead and use it on your turn. It just is very, very powerful. And if you're not against Rui, guess what? It is inkable, so you just ink it if you need to. Otherwise, you can use it as a 3/3/2 lore. But we have Merlin Rabbit, we have double Pascal, we have double Mufasa, Friends, Arthur. Kind of unfortunate, but it's a decent-ish hand. Again, I don't want them, especially in this matchup. Don't want the Merlin because of my hand. I don't want the Arthur. I want more inkables, more low cards. I want my Bodyguard. I want my Stitch plays. So we got the 2 Pascals, keeping this as like our potential ink. We get Doc, Stitch, Doc, and another friend. So we have plenty of cards that we can go ahead and ink. We're going first. We ink our friends, summon our Pascal. Waiting for our opponent. He goes and puts his Hierom in the ink, and we see Popsicle come out, and we get our 3rd Pascal. I don't need 3 Pascals, so we're going to get rid of 1, play the 2nd, and now they have Evasive. Just a fun little play getting them both out there together. Popsicle again, so he gets another draw, loading his hands up. Inks Develop Your Brain, uses Develop Your Brain, adds a card to his hand, puts one in the bottom of his deck. We draw our Bodyguard. It's looking better for us now, so we can go ahead and get our Doc, and then Pascal, and I guess we didn't necessarily need to summon him Exerted, because unless they have Evasive, they weren't going to do anything, and they have nothing on board anyway, so maybe we didn't have to go that route, or we could have gone through Doc out first, because effect damage is the only thing they're going to do, and they're going to have effect damage from Steel regardless. So instead of playing those 2, we could have threw Doc out first, just because the Evasive here is already acting as a pseudo Bodyguard in that regard. He comes out with the Noi, and we draw our Maleficent. So things are actually looking pretty decent for us. We're going to try and get aggressive. I want to draw friends into 2 more friends. Well, I was just going to ink it, so now I got to ink it and keep one essentially. We jump out to a 7-0 lead and apply more pressure by putting the Maleficent on board. So now we have 6 sitting on board. He does have a big hand, comes back with the Mickey, builds his inkwell, jump ahead, builds the inkwell. He now surpassed us in that regard. Popsicles, the damage part isn't going to matter because I'm not planning to attack a whole lot, but he does have cards where he can pot or banish his items and get draws off of it. So he is going to get use out of them. Smash, so now he's got us by a couple. We do go into our Mim Fox, so that is actually pretty nice. We can get rid of a problem. I shouldn't say get rid of a problem card, but potentially get rid of a problem card if he ends up having it, because it can rush and obviously challenge on the turn that is put into play. We go ahead and draw 2 more. We hit Stitch Rockstar. That is going to come in huge because we have our Stitch, and then Merlin Rabbit. Drawing cards is never a bad thing. Hiram comes out again, and then, yeah, there we go. We destroy the Popsicle, draw 2 more cards. He's drawing a whole bunch. He's got 6 ink, but he needs the right cards in his hand, and we're up 13-0 already with a pretty decent hand, actually. We see Cinderella go there, launch, hit that, and then deal 5 damage. So he's going to get rid of our Bodyguard. Bodyguard is gone. Now he can start attacking, get rid of Maleficent, and then he quests there. We still have Stitch though, so that's good. We can quest, Stitch down. Now we can go ahead. We're up to 18. Drew into Pinocchio. So another high lore guy. Get rid of the dock. We have plenty of cards here. He's got to deal with most of our board. If he can't deal with it, well, we're in a good spot. We got 5 willpower from the Stitch, which is obviously going to be nice. The Fishborn Quill comes out. Not too worried about that. Again, his inkwell at this point I'm not worried about because we're in going out range. We're at 18-1. We're at Rabbit wins the game. There's so many good things going for us at this point. So he gets his inkwell up to 10. He's just showing me what he's got in his hand essentially at this point. He knows he lost. He's just like, here's what I got. And so yeah, he goes pop, draw 2 more cards, but only 1 ink. He knows he lost, but it was a lot of fun. So once he passes turn over to us, Stitch will close out the game, and then it will be done, because even if he had a card to do something, he had no ink to do it. We have Emerald Steel again, so probably one of the better decks. Emerald Steel, Steel Song, Ruby Amethyst, they're kind of the top decks universally. Our opening hand, we have Doc, Stitch, Simba, Merlin, Mim, and Friends. So we see our big card and our Bodyguard. We have plenty of inks. We got Merlin Goat, which is going to be nice. I'm not too worried about other stuff. I need to get low cards though. So Stitch, Doc, Mim. The Goat can go, and even Friends. Trying to get to low cards. We do get to our Stitch. So we got Stitch, Simba, early shifting into Stitch. Doc our play 3, 1 bouncer, power play later. Mufasa's just like ink fodder at this point. But yeah, so we get to go second once again. We did play against this deck obviously already, so fresh on our minds. He goes, puts the charge in the inkwell. Waiting to see what he does. Does he make a turn 1 play, or does he pass priority turn whatever to us? He does pass. We get another Stitch. Like I said, Mufasa was just ink fodder in that hand, especially in this matchup too. So now we wait. Does he have a turn 2 play? We see him ink another card. We didn't get hit with the load or fire your cannons. That was nice. We can go ahead and get rid of the dock because we got our Maleficent as a draw now too. Can play the Bodyguard, summon Exerted, so that way we can quest a Stitch, get the 1. We have Merlin as a turn 3 option. We can go Maleficent as a turn 3 option. We have Stitch Rockstar as a turn 4 option. Our play lines are working out pretty good here. We get another Madam Mim. Definitely don't need 2 of them, so we're going to go ahead and ink the 1 snake. Quest, and we have 3, Arthur or Maleficent. We go ahead and go Arthur, because then on our next turn, instead of going to Stitch, we actually have the option of going Maleficent, draw, Arthur, quest, bounce, and get 3 lore, and then we can even potentially, or I guess not that turn, we're not going to get to Maleficent twice, but use it again in the future as another draw. Benja comes in, we don't have items, doesn't matter, we get the Goat. So we go ahead, ink our Stitch, quest, summon the goat. We're going for the lore. We're being aggressive. We know it's going right back to our hand anyway, and now our opponent knows we have it, so it really applies that pressure because he needs to deal with this Arthur. Otherwise, that's 5 lore each turn just from Arthur and goat. Summon goat 1, Arthur quest 2, effect 3, 4, effective goat 5, and we're in a very, very strong point at this part of the match. So, waiting to see what he does. Can he deal with our cards? And he does the effect of the queen, which I'm okay with because his hand's low and he can't quite use the whole new world yet. So we want to really take advantage of this before whole new world potentially drops. When he's low on hand, especially like, I feel like steel emerald, that's one downside to it. If it doesn't roll right away, that you can get into a sticky spot with your hand size. And just your resources if you don't manage it carefully and properly. So he comes out with the Simba, and at that point I'm not really seeing any way we're gonna really lose this, because he can go ahead and take out our Simba, but again, we're at 15. Arthur plus goat is 5, so we're sitting pretty There's anything we want to do, we get more ink essentially. We can just go goat. I just kind of wanted to show him like, oh, I also had this play, so there's 3, and then Arthur is also going to be enough, and we have 1 final. And how fitting that it is against Ruby Amethyst as well. So Ruby Amethyst, once again, best deck for those who aren't paying attention to the format. We have Maleficent, Friends, Merlin, Mim, Stitch, Merlin, and Pinocchio. Other than having a bodyguard, this hand is actually pretty decent. I got to apply a lot of pressure, so I'd like to keep Pinocchio. You got your Stitch for an early play. Outside of that, like in this hand, nothing is necessarily for sure to keep. I really want to get that bodyguard. I keep them. Probably could have gotten rid of them just to really dig for the bodyguard, but we do hit it anyway, and we get another Maleficent, but the more aggressive one, the 1 cost, so we go ahead, put her out, see what our opponent can't do. And again, in this matchup, there's a pretty decent chance that we get 2 turns in and our opponent isn't going to be able to do anything. Unfortunately, he does come out with the Olaf, but again, not too worried because we have the bodyguard who's going to be able to survive Olaf pretty well. So we can go ahead. I don't plan on getting Be Prepared because our hand is pretty aggressive, so we go ahead and get rid of that Mufasa, get a couple lore, go back to our opponent. He gets rid of one of his goats, and then it's just a matter of, is he going to start chipping away at the bodyguard, or is he going to try to play keep up? He almost has to go for the bodyguard though, because he's not going to keep up with this deck. His deck just isn't able to do it. He goes and uses teeth, so he's able to handle the bodyguard completely. That's pretty big actually. At this point we have 2 Stitches. We don't need 2. We're going to get rid of it. And then we're going to come out strong with Stitch and Pinocchio. We hit for 2 more lore. He has nothing on board, so it's going to be safe from being challenged. Except for that, if he had a different ink that he could have used, and then he could have rushed and attacked. However, he did not. We're sitting with 6 out here. And then we're putting Merlin down because that's another threat for 3 each turn. We're up to our 4 ink. 4 ink makes this deck work so phenomenal. I rarely go over like 6, but 4 is the ideal number. Once you get to a lot of hands, you can kind of just coast and play how you want. Whether you want to keep building it, because you don't want to fall too far behind, especially because if they grab your swords, break your board. At the same time, though, too, some hands I'll keep a lot in my hand because there's no reason to necessarily get rid of it. But yeah, we jump out to a quick 10-0 lead. He's obviously going to have to come after the Pinocchio here, but he actually chooses not to. So he quests instead. Had he taken out the Pinocchio, we'd still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'd go to 16. I'd play the goat, which would be 17. Goat would be the one who got bounced back, so it would be 18 anyway. But the proper play would have definitely been get rid of the Pinocchio. He may have just seen that he's too far behind, it's not going to matter. But we go ahead and win the game this turn because of that. So hopefully you guys liked the video, liked the gameplay. Like I said, I felt like speeding it up and pre-recording the screens and doing it like this worked really nice. So we didn't have to sit here for 45 minutes. Instead, it was 25 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe. comment down below. Forgot to mention, we do have our giveaway going away for our enchanted rare Stitch Surfer. 3,000 subscribers. We started a new channel. We're going to, and say 500 subs, but YouTube was a pain, so we doing it this way, which means we only need like 380 subs. So we got 120 free subscribers, essentially, kinda, sort of. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, take care.